Welcome to The Explainer. Look, I am absolutely stoked you're hanging out with us today. If you just got your hands on the brand new DJI Neo 2, oh man, you are in for a treat. Today, we are going to completely transform you from an unboxing novice into a confident, highly cinematic drone pilot. We're stripping away all that manual reading confusion and giving you the exact structured knowledge you need to master this incredible little machine.
But let me ask you something first. Did you just unbox this thing, take one look at all those menus, and suddenly get this sinking feeling of, please don't let me crash this on day one? Right? It is a totally valid fear. Validating that excitement while acknowledging the actual high stakes of flying is exactly why we're doing this. Because relying solely on those default settings right out of the box, yeah, that can actually be a recipe for disaster.
So here's our roadmap for today. Number 1, pre-flight essentials. Number 2, choosing your control method. Number 3, cinematic camera settings. And number 4, mastering safe returns.
Okay, let's jump right into section 1, pre-flight essentials. Basically, starting smart.
So before we even think about tweaking the settings, you kind of need to understand the actual machine you're flying. The Neo 2 is a massive upgrade over the original. The absolute biggest game changer here, it's that 2-axis gimbal. See, the original Neo only had a 1-axis gimbal, which meant it relied heavily on electronic cropping to fix all that side-to-side shake. But the Neo 2, it gives you physical stabilization on both the vertical and horizontal axes. That means way smoother footage, way less artificial cropping, and honestly, just incredible performance in action scenes. Add in the jump to 4K at 100 frames per second, and you've got a seriously powerful cinematic tool in your hands. All right, let's dive into the actual setup. Step 1. I know, it's not the most glamorous thing, but it is literally non-negotiable. Update your firmware. That means the aircraft, the controller, your batteries, and the DJI Fly app. Doing this unlocks the newest features and makes sure you're up to date with safety regulations. Step 2, you've got to adjust your obstacle avoidance. The Neo 2 lets you set it to off, brake, or bypass. Now for beginners, you absolutely want to select brake. This just means if you happen to fly straight toward a tree, the drone will automatically stop and hover right in front of it, instead of trying to bravely weave around it or, flying directly into the trunk.
Moving on to section 2, choosing your control method. That covers app, Palm, or RC.
Deciding how you actually want to command this thing beforehand is the secret to getting really efficient shots. If you want that true buttery cinematic look, you are definitely going to want to use the standard remote controller. Mastering manual flight mode, specifically mode 2, which is the default, allows for just incredible precision. When you bank the Neo 2 into turns by combining these manual stick controls, you can create these beautifully smooth, flowing, arcing movements. It gives your footage dynamic energy and totally eliminates that boring, static, hovering look. But hey, what if you don't even want to hold a controller? Well, Palm Control on the Neo 2 has this completely expanded creative toolkit. Just by tapping the buttons right on the drone itself, you can initiate Palm takeoff and trigger what they call smart snaps. The Neo 2 packs in these wild automated features, like Selfie Shot for solo framing, Master Shots, which automatically strings together cinematic moves to music, and my personal favorite, Dolly Zoom. This literally gives you that dramatic, vertigo-inducing cinematic zoom effect right in midair, and you don't even need a remote in your hands. It's like magic. Let's hit section 3, cinematic camera settings. This is all about getting that pro look. Now, what's really interesting here is uncovering those secret settings buried deep in the DJI menus, the ones that take your real-world footage from amateur hours straight to professional. Here is your rapid-fire creator checklist. First up, always shoot in the highest quality possible. Usually that's 4K at 30 frames per second. Unless, of course, you specifically need slow motion, in which case you'll want to drop to 1080p at 60 or 100 frames per second. Second, and this is a big one, reduce your sharpness down to -1. Out of the box, DJI drones are notoriously over-sharpened, which just looks unnatural and kind of crunchy. Dropping it to -1 gives you a super clean, natural baseline. Next, flip on your rule of thirds grid lines in the app so you can perfectly nail your framing on the fly. And finally, get out of that default normal color profile and experiment with a flatter one. Yeah, it's going to look a little washed out on your screen at first, but it preserves all those crucial highlight and shadow details so you can color grade it beautifully later on. And that brings us to section 4, mastering safe returns. Or, how to not lose your drone. Honestly, this might just be the most absolutely crucial part of this whole explainer, because we really want to help you dodge one very specific, totally devastating beginner mistake.
Listen to this cautionary tale from a user over on Reddit. On their very first flight, using just the mobile app control, they flew 50 meters away, and the drone just disconnected. Now, they expected it to return to home automatically, like they'd seen in all the videos. Instead, it just hovered there for 10 minutes and slowly auto-landed into some random tree. I mean, that is the terrifying reality of losing connection when you haven't properly set up your parameters. So how do we avoid that absolute nightmare? It comes down to one crucial rule. You have to, and I mean always, wait for that little home point updated audio prompt before you start flying away. See, sometimes the drone needs several minutes sitting right there on the ground to acquire enough GPS satellites to actually lock in its location. If you get impatient, take off, and fly away before hearing that prompt, the drone literally has no idea where home is. If it disconnects, it's just going to land wherever it happens to be at that moment, even if that's a tree, a roof, or the middle of a lake.
Now, when you do set it up right, the advanced return to home path is honestly brilliant. When it gets triggered, the drone doesn't just fly blindly backward. It actually ascends to a preset altitude so it can safely clear buildings, trees, whatever obstacles are around. Then it flies back to your location and descends straight down to that home point.
But okay, you do need to know that this whole return to home logic actually shifts depending on your environment. Let's break this down. If you are further than 50 meters away and the lighting is good, it's going to plan the optimal safe path around obstacles. But if the lighting is unsuitable, like say it's getting super dark outside, the drone's vision sensors just can't see properly. In that specific case, it'll ascend straight up to your preset safety altitude and just fly back in a straight line. Now, if you're closer than 50 meters in bad lighting, it won't even bother ascending, it just flies straight back to you at whatever altitude it's currently at. Understanding these little variables is exactly how you keep your drone from clipping a branch on its way back. And to make sure you actually have enough juice for that safe journey home, I need you to burn this number into your brain: 20%. This is the absolute minimum battery level you should ever reach when you're flying far away from your launch point. The Neo 2 has roughly a 17 to 18-minute flight time, but if you're out there flying aggressively or fighting against a stiff breeze, that battery is going to drain a whole lot faster than you think. Never, ever risk a forced landing. By the time you hit 20%, you should already be heading back. Wow, okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground today. Everything from those crucial pre-flight firmware updates to advanced stick movements, cinematic camera adjustments, and mastering that life-saving return-to-home logic. So I want to leave you with a thought before you go. Which secret Neo 2 setting are you actually going to test out on your very next flight? Are you going to try dialing down that image sharpness for a more natural look? Or maybe test out that hands-free dolly zoom? Pick one, get out there, fly safe, and start capturing some truly amazing footage. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy flying.